Welcome to another reading of Barry Long's Origins of Man in the Universe book by Barry Long. And I think it's most profound and significant to read these kinds of texts. It's the most profound book I've ever read, and it's the most influential master in my life. And this part is called the original moment. I may comment at the end and try to not intervene while I'm speaking or reading with my own additions. However, that is the most normal way I will read. I usually add on things, but anyway, I'll just read and see how it flows from there. So this is the original moment, and it pertains to eternity and the description that there is really only now. And so the original moment. The beginning of the universe and man is not sometime in the past. It is now, this moment, which is demonstrably the same now as always. What stops us from realizing this is that we regard what happens as the only important consideration and dismiss entirely the continuous moment it all happens in. If we could give equal cognizance to both, we would immediately perceive the truth of now, man, and the universe. But as it is, we are distracted from the truth by perceiving events which immediately become for us fixations of the past. Each of us measures his life by those events, and so we live mostly in the past. Actually, all we're doing with the years of our lives is measuring the past, the interval we have left behind, our distance from our assumed beginning, our birth date. Science tries to do the same thing with the Big Bang Theory by giving it a date and a start to the universe. But both beginnings are illusory. Reality is neither past nor eventual. Reality is now. Now is the original and only state of things. Nothing has ever happened or can happen outside of now. Although this is self-evident, the significance of this extremely is difficult to concede. We are involuntarily, unconsciously terrified, for it means giving up the past and seems to predicate losing all of the established foundations from which we gain our psychological sense of security. Through the feeling of having been, we get the feeling of being someone, being something. It is a substitute for really being now. It is comforting, reassuring, almost to the point of necessity for most of us, but it is not the truth. To be someone or something at any time requires living in the past. To be able to perceive the beginning of the universe and oneself as now is the beginning of immortality in the individual. And to cling to any other beginning in the face of the real is for the individual to continue to calculate his own inevitable and equally unreal death. Certainly each of us was born as a life form on earth, but that proves nothing apart from the fact that each of us was born as a body. To regard the birth of any form as a beginning is totally presumptuous. The question is, can the reader recall any time when he was not? The answer, of course, is no. But if I cannot remember when I was not, it is an absurdity to assume that there has been any time when I was not what I am now. This is the assumption of death, which most are guilty of. Our delusions change as our past grows, but we do not. No man feels he's 40, 50, 60, 70, or any age. He may feel the pain and restriction of his body, his past, but the man, the pastless I in him, never feels any older. However old, the man is ageless. I am not an event, not a body, a birth certificate, a memory, or a bathroom mirror reflection on the past that is my body, to reveal its age, past, or mortality. The body and all that helps to measure it by reflection and memory will die, but I cannot, any more than my birth can be my beginning. So to summarize, we are beings of now, as the universe is an expression of now. As part of the universe, which is now, we cannot be separate from it, except through the illusion of past, created by our own evolving Earth intelligence. In truth, there is no time but now. Now is exactly the same instant that the intellect formed in the mind and the universe began. In truth, nothing has changed. Nothing ever will. The thing that does change, and therefore is evolutionary, or at any moment not yet itself, is intelligence. Intelligence invented interval, the past and the Big Bang Theory, because it's yet not up to living in the now. What Barry Long is proposing is that it is possible for man to jump his own time of past and interval and realize for himself that eternal moment in which he and the universe are as they always have been. This, I accept, may need a good deal of demonstrating, as such a proposition is contrary to the normal experience and reason of our insane world. However, what is normal and reasonable arises from memory and past experience, and is in itself part of the successional time trap that has to be vaulted, has to be jumped, has to be overcome. It is universally true that any real proposition, the position of even the highest reality, can be demonstrated through the intellect, provided the intelligence of the observer is up to it. As I will describe later, the same intellect is used by ultra-intelligences through the universe, as well as by ourselves and the living dead, and is therefore equal to any demands that can be made of this intellect. It manifested in the original first instant, which is preserved forever as eternity, and it is therefore outside the successional time trap that we have to vault. So basically, a beautiful piece on describing that we, as bodies, as minds, as thoughts, as objects, are nothing but an effect of the evolving intelligence that kind of has to spread the eternal moment of all that could ever be over what seems to be time and space. And that in reality, of course, what I am, the intelligence that is listening to these words, that intelligence itself is always still eternal. And to get out of this time trap, we have to be still enough, present enough, to be able to jump out of it. As it says here, it's possible for us to jump. So that is a beautiful piece of the original moment, which shows that the universe is now. There is only this moment, which of course in your own experience you can see right away there's nothing but this moment, and it's very obviously there is no other moment you can go to. You can wait for this moment to move into what the next moment. You can never find that cut, because the moment is just here now, the only thing there is. What changes in the moment, of course, does change, which is objects. But the objects do not and should not get the prior attention, the dominant attention. That's why he says so beautifully in here that, what stops us from realizing this is that we regard what happens as the only important consideration. In other words, what objects change, like the second hand of the clock, or the movement of things that come and go, or the thoughts that come and go. But when you look at that in which they take place, it is obviously the now, the eternal now. There is no changing in that. There's only the objects that move through that, if you wish. But as it is, the majority of people on earth are distracted from the truth by perceiving events, things, objects, thoughts, which then immediately become for them fixations of the past, and then through their memory, they start to construct an image, an idea, a construct of what they see life is at and what they see their life as. And then they start measuring their lives by those events. and so they end up living mostly in the past. This is, of course, not the truth. The truth is that we are the original moment itself. So that's another piece of the original moment of Barry Long, The Origins of Man in the Universe.